Start the recording. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Jules Squire's fantastic presentation on nutrition. I'm Steve Pinto. I run Wandsworth Chamber of Commerce. We've had a few technical difficulties this morning, and I've changed computers, and you can see in the background my lovely Wandsworth Chamber banner is back to front, probably. There is a facility on Zoom to swap that around, actually, but I'll attend to that later. So for today, Jill's going to be talking to us about nutrition. And as I understand it, it's things that you can add to your diet to make your diet healthier rather than taking away. So I'm really looking forward to this. Jill's got a fantastic personal story about how she got into nutrition and how it changed her life. And now she travels the world giving fantastic talks and presentations. And she's a fantastic resident of Wandsworth and a member of Wandsworth Chamber. So Jill, I'm really looking forward to this. I'll hand over to you.
Thank you, Steve. And thank you, Steve, for organising this. And thank you to everyone being here on this lovely morning. One of our beautiful days in the UK at the moment. I'm very positive. Anyway, my name's Jill Squires. My company is Living Foods for Health. I have quite a story, but I started my life in the catering business, which is when you're trained as a chef in my old world of everything. I was cooking everything. I was able to travel with that work. So I was able to travel around the world and do different jobs. And the same here in the UK. Then I had a catering company many years ago in Wandsworth for about 10 years. And then I started getting health challenges. I had to move premises. They upped the rent by about 20,000. We're talking nearly 30 years ago. And so we were looking for properties, and in the end, I decided that it was time to move on. I didn't realize at the time it was probably one of the best things I ever did. It took about 2 or 3 years to get over. That's probably called ego, but we had a lovely company and we did amazing corporate events. We were very busy. So then with the health challenges, I had things like chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia. My brain's gone today. Better check the brain again. Raynaud's disease. I also, what really made me change was the fact that I was getting a lot of lumps and bumps in my breasts. And I have to say, I didn't get checked out. I had decided I was going to, so we've got no proof what it really was. I have my feelings about it, but I packed my bags and I went to Portugal. We'd already been catering over there, and I decided that I would go there. And I did notice I was still exhausted, but I noticed that things were changing. But I was also very overweight. And I decided for once in my life, it was time to change and keep the weight down. Now, this isn't about necessarily weight loss, weight gain. There's no guarantees with anything. But I started, while I was over there, I decided that I really had to lose this weight. I had food addiction, so I would eat anything in front of me. You know, we would be together for a Sunday lunch. I'd probably have seconds of everything and then couldn't wait to get home to eat again. I never understood why, because in my catering life, I have never been short of food. And of course, it was all about balance. And of course, I wasn't absorbing enzymes. And I was eating too much and not giving the body a rest. But never mind, you know, life went on. And so I started doing food combining, not mixing carbohydrate and protein. Now, I will say, changing my food lifestyle all those years ago, I had no idea that it was going to lead me to where I am now. I just thought I've just got to lose weight. And I wasn't getting proper advice. And I also was giving foods up, but I wasn't replacing them. And whatever we give up, we have to replace, because they've all got various forms of nutrients. Whether they're absorbable or not is another matter. So no, you know, when it comes to weight loss or weight gain, no food is fattening. Sounds odd, but yes, you don't just live on bread, or you don't just live on, because the body can't cope or break it down. But I was giving up, in those days it was to do with yeast. Yeast in bread wasn't good for us. But my gut feeling was the flour wasn't good, the wheat flour. I don't know where I got that feeling from. So I'd give up bread, I'd give up these grains, give up things, but didn't know what to replace them with. So anyway, I didn't realize, and I was thinking more about food than I was before. And then I got involved with aloe vera juice, which changed my whole life. In saying that, had I been given that at least 30 years or plus ago, I'd have said it didn't work. It does work. But the thing is, in those days, you wanted magic in a bottle. Like people want magic in anything we get from the doctor. It's not magic. Everything takes its time. And for some, it doesn't work at all. There's no guarantees in anything. So anyway, I was doing my food combining, working well. It was working brilliantly. And then I got involved with the aloe, and we had some nutrition training. And then I decided I needed to learn more, so started studying more nutrition. And then I was but I felt no one in those days talked about food. Now there's too much, I feel. It's, to me, through all I've learned, it's all about understanding balance. Just because it's vegan, vegetarian, raw, plant-based, doesn't always mean it's healthy. We've got to understand the balance and understand it. You know, most people will say, oh, yeah, most of us don't always understand. So anyway, I was very fortunate to be able to, I heard some talks here in England from a place called Hippocrates Health Institute in Florida. Yes, it isn't cheap, but in those days it was good price. I went 23 years ago, and very good rate of exchange, which I didn't appreciate at the time, of course. But I've also been fortunate to be able to work there. I volunteered there in the old days, more or less full time. To me, volunteering means work all day, not just get my free, lick a few envelopes, get my free lunch and buzz off. So I've been doing that for about 23 years. Due to what's going on this year, I don't know if I'll get there, but never mind. There's plenty more to do. So the Institute it's about cleansing and nourishing the body. They change your foods quite dramatically. And while you're there, it works very well. It started off as an Anne Wigmore place. She started it originally and worked more. I won't put you off too much, but I'll just tell you right now, it was a lot of greens, a lot of what we call sunflower, pea green sprouts, and various things that are quite basic, and a lot of green vegetable juicing. But we did eat food, and we had a lot of food to eat, but many people went there with different health challenges, cancer, diabetes, you name it. And I've seen a lot of dramatic changes, but it's about when we get home. And I felt I would bring that into my life and work with food, which is why I give workshops, talks, and retreats. Got a couple of retreats with somebody in Spain at the end of the year, in September and November. As we all know, everything's been cancelled so far this year. So I had to change my whole life. And I will say, once I went there and learned more about the greens and about different types of foods, it made a big difference to me. Not easy. And I'm not here to get everyone to change completely, but it's about adding to your lifestyle. And that's what I always insist. A lot of people, for example, don't eat vegetables. You know, it's like they don't like them. Well, I was brought up with it, and if you didn't eat them, you had to eat them later. You know? But that was a big part of it. You know, we have to look after our bodies. For a lot of people, what's happening now with the lockdown is people are slowing down and having to stay at home and getting more sleep, and they're actually feeling much better, or they have time to have as much fun as you can have at home. But there seems to be more smiling about when I'm outside, when I go for my walks and things. People have time to say hello. Whereas before, in recent years, people there's no time, and the body gets exhausted. You know, I always ask people questions like, you know, you didn't get your cold, your flu, your cancer, whatever, didn't arrive yesterday. You know, it's all due to exhaustion, build up, what's going on in your life, frustrations. You know, now when one gets a cold, you still go to work, and then it gets worse. And then someone says, I've had it for 6 weeks. Well, it's all about resting, sleeping, drinking more water, adding more to the lifestyle. So for me, you know, it's changed my life. In saying that, I'm not perfect, and I enjoy a change, but I don't just live on vegetables, of course. I like a bite in my food. It comes from, you know, okay, I am vegan, but I am now vegan to the best of my ability, but it took me 8 years. I didn't know I was becoming that way, to be honest. But I realized when I was in Portugal, I decided when I'm at home, I wasn't going to eat meat, but I will when we go out. And I started having meat and vegetables when I was out. When I was at home, I was having vegetables and potatoes or something, but I was mixing it all up together and making new dishes. And if people are allergic to something, I will use something else. That's my chef's background maybe, but I work with a lot of different foods. And it's just adding these things. We learn to have new tastes. If you have questions, do ask. But I do find in recent years, people have no time to sit down, have a proper meal. It's non-stop sandwiches, tortilla wraps. Yes, I buy them too. Not the sandwiches, I won't touch them. Because if I have one, I want 4 or 5. With the tortilla wraps, I try and just have 2 in one packet. That's more for my traveling. But I do find that we need to think about it because, you know, we need to feed all parts of the body, feed the brain, help the body relax. I mean, can you believe a piece of kale has not quite a complete food, but it has so many nutrients. I get most of my calcium through greens. And I have to say, with things like dairy, I'm not asking you to give it up right now, but the day I left school, I gave up milk. I just couldn't stand it. Some of you will remember the warm bottles left out in the playground. I can see 1 or 2 smiles. And gosh, how I drank it, I'll never know. And then I was fortunate, I didn't like cheese. And I just never liked it. 1 or 2 dishes we all had, cauliflower cheese, I had to eat it. I couldn't stand it. But in saying that, nowadays there are many more replacements. Not all vegan cheeses are good, but there are some more replacements with the more fermented. I'm still not saying they're healthy, but they can replace it when you need to put it on your cheese board, and most people won't know the difference. And I've been doing a lot of research on different foods, so there's a lot out there to replace. But I'm a big believer, even if it's for now, if it's just adding, then go slowly. to go what they call cold turkey and give everything up at once, no, I don't go for that. Right now, with people who don't want to change, that I just say, well, then start eating regular meals if you can. You know, don't rush out the door in the morning with nothing. All I see around here at the moment, the desperation for coffee. I'm not saying give up coffee. I'm just saying I can't believe now that they have the coffee bars open again and you have to queue for it. I'm amazed how many people are walking away from home, because I do my morning walk normally in the morning, and I see everyone queuing for coffee. I know it's been going on a long time, but, you know, make it at home if you must. But it is making different changes. And for people that have known me for many, many years, they will say, you know, I have changed a lot. That doesn't mean when I go and join people in the evenings that are, you know, I'm not eating everything on their plate, but I don't expect them to make big changes. I just look at what's on the menu or what's around, and I will make a meal of it. Oh, I just thought there was a question, there isn't. Anyway, any questions at the moment? No, good gracious.
Yeah, I have a question, Jill.
Yes.
Since lockdown, I was getting quite good. I was sort of regulating meals a little bit better. But since lockdown, I just find it very easy to snack. And I really resonate when you said you had a food addiction. And just how do you break the habit?
Well, the funny thing is that since lockdown, because you know, when I put a key in the door to get into the house, wherever I am, something ticks in me, oh, I've got to eat.
Yeah.
Has been for years, right? But right now, I'm not having that problem. But then I think it's because, I wasn't going into this, but I drink in the morning green juices. And I think it's because I'm getting the balance of greens. But yes, you're one of many who are having problems with food. And if we're not getting, it's like, you know, I've had my green juice this morning. I'm not hungry. I'm not, you know, there are times when I am, but I'm not hungry. And I'm not craving for anything. In saying that, yes, I will go to the cupboard and think, I want something sweet today, knowing there's nothing in there at the moment, other than a gift I was given last night. But normally I don't have much in there, because if it's there, I'll have eaten it. But I think it is a problem. And that's why I'm very keen on getting people to add more to their lifestyle of greens, greens. I mean, I'm not in favor of fruit smoothies or fruit juices, because they convert to sugar into the bloodstream. But if we make the green ones, or make a smoothie with green vegetables, like a guacamole, I call it, glorified guacamole, but blended, and I know the thought of it doesn't appeal to you right now, but I do things, oh no, I haven't got it here. No. I make things like that, so I've always got it, so it stops the craving. I do take some food-based supplements, but they're food. So Sun Chlorella do some wonderful product. Sun Chlorella and Noble Naturals and one or two others. And I find if I'm taking those, which I've always got here is my Sun Chlorella, is they're tablets, and I just chew them or swallow them with water. They are protein. They also help remove heavy metals, a lot of the greens, but they're also a balance. And because we often lack protein, that is where the craving starts. And of course, we then go for the wrong foods that make the cravings continue. You know, people who eat a lot of fruit, nothing wrong with fruit, but people who eat a lot, so much fruit, I remember speaking to someone one day on the phone, and she was quite angry. And I said, look, you're talking to me. There's no need to get angry. And anyway, I spoke to somebody else about it. And he said she's craving sugar because she in those days only ate fruit. There is such a thing, but that it's too much fruit and it's like a drug craving. So maybe you need to eat more greens.
And what type of greens then? And do they have to be in a smoothie?
No, they don't have to be. I mean, I do what I call exciting salads. And I don't mean just a piece of lettuce, tomato and cucumber and a bit of onion. I use a lot of different greens, chop it up, put in the food processor, maybe, break it all up small, mix it together, add a dressing. Or when you're eating your meal, add more green vegetables with your meals. Like, your, oh, my brain's gone. Cauliflower, well, that's not green, but that's a very good one to have, believe it or not, though it's white. Well, a lot of the green leaves that we find at the London farmers markets, at most farmers markets, depending where you go, though you can get them sent, but there's bok choy, there's Swiss chard, there's not cauliflower, what's the other word, green one? God, it's sitting downstairs, it's going yellow already. But it's just, there's so many. I can always send a list. I can do a list for everyone, if you would like. But it's getting used to new tastes. I mean, when people tell me, okay, I do desserts, not too many, but I do them. But, someone told me they couldn't stand onion and garlic. Couldn't stand it. Of course, when you start adding things to other dishes, it's different, but when it's straight onion garlic, or someone couldn't stand avocado, hated it. So when I gave a workshop, I put it in everything. Loved the avocado, loved everything, because it wasn't straight. I said to the girl with the avocado, I said to her, did you always have it with the prawns on top and with the tomato sauce, the cocktail sauce? So she said, yes. Well, eating avocado straight from the heart, when you cut it in half, is more difficult to digest. It's easier to mush it up, or or smooth, make it smoother. But she ate everything, and I've done desserts where I've thrown in onion and garlic. Only an excellent chef who noticed wanted to know what was in it. He was from Belgium chef, and he kept saying, there's something else in it, I know what it is. But in general, if you change the flavors of things, people can enjoy it. These things are very important: onion and garlic, parsley, green leaves. There's so much. When I give my workshop, food workshops, and they're always small groups in general, because then people can ask questions. Then once they're tasting and having it, doing a virtual one isn't quite the same, but doing one here in Wandsworth, or when I'm in Portugal or whatever, is tasting it. You can be quite deceived. You enjoy it.
So in your workshops, you actually cook things or prepare things?
Prepare foods, yes.
And people try them?
If you were here, if we were together, I could have done, I would have. I was joking to people yesterday because I had a birthday on Saturday. And, I said, pity I didn't have a cake I could bring to them tomorrow morning, because I was obviously spreading the word about this. But one girl came up, we meet just for 10 minutes, all of us can be 4 or 10, but way apart. And they bought a present for me yesterday, which was from Planet, but I've forgotten, from Nourish, which is actually raw little sweet things. But it tastes cooked. It was lovely. I had coconut in it, and it was delicious. But nobody queried it. I just handed them out and then left. There's so much you could try. I do crackers, cookies, biscuits to us. These things are, well, you wouldn't know that they weren't cooked, but they are. Yes, I can make them completely raw, where they taste good, but this is I'm making it so that it's healthier. If we haven't got a dehydrator, we use an oven, but it's changing things, and it's trying to change the ingredients. I mean, when I had handed crackers out last week, I just people go, oh, but there's flour in it, and I go, no, there's nothing like that in there at all. It's just using different ingredients. And I've always been for years, if a recipe's missing something, you can still make it. It's learning how to make something with something that's missing.
So do you have one-to-one consultations with people?
I do one-to-one consultations. I'll do one-to-one workshops. Personally, I always think it's better in a small group. But yes, I do one-to-ones. But because I think everyone's question relates to everyone else. Your question, everybody, could be the question I didn't dare ask, or vice versa. And then you find, oh, so-and-so, oh, that happens to me. And there's quite a bonding for a while. Some may keep up afterwards. But there's this connection, because most of us think we're the only one that has this problem. We're the only one that has food addiction, or the only one who has that health challenge. But it helps to talk to each other. It's like a therapy, really, And yes, that's how I look at it.
All right. So what are the food groups we should be avoiding then?
Well, I'm not there to tell you to change completely, but what I say is when you're eating your meals, we've got to think about the digestion. And if you're having meat and potatoes, meat is very hard to digest anyway, but to have potatoes with it, I feel if we have the green vegetables or mixed vegetables, all vegetables, with the meat, without the carbohydrate ones, it's much easier to go through the body, to go through the liver. Which reminds me, eating late at night is never a good idea, because then you go to sleep with a heavy liver and heavy stomach. It all takes time to go through. I mean, many people drink with their food, not always a good idea. But, I'm not letting you give up everything at once. Looking at time. So food groups, as I say, there are many ways of eating out there. I always say if you can at least have some salads without cooking, but make them exciting so you enjoy it. And also, if it's just the cooked foods, have the cooked foods, but have plenty of vegetables to go with it, or plenty, just make up. Because I know people on here, I know they do vegetables, but so they're probably not, they understand, but and I don't know your way of eating, but it would help if you could add these things. For me, well, I'm full of energy normally.
Normally.
I will say something that I haven't been unwell or had colds for years and years and years. Can't remember when I last had them, and I did have colds and flu. I may have had twice in my life. I remember that because it was that awful ache in the arms. But it's too long ago, can hardly remember. But I did have, about 2 years ago, it would be just over 2 years ago, I did get a virus. Very interesting experience for me. I worked out why I got it. I was in bed for nearly 3 weeks on my own. So, I didn't, water, didn't want to drink water, didn't want to eat. My goodness me, not wanting to eat food is unbelievable. Didn't even want to check emails or the phone. And, but I worked out, I don't know whether it was, part of fibromyalgia's Epstein-Barr. I don't know if that had come back or whether it was another virus at that time was a nonivirus. But to me, there's similarities. But I have flown a lot on EasyJet, and thanks to them, it's been very helpful. But usually I'm on my own before I leave here, so I get sleep before I fly. I don't sleep on the plane, unfortunately. If I do, it's 3 minutes, and then I wake up and the plane hasn't even left. That's at 6 in the morning. But anyway, so then I went on 3 trips where I was with people the other end and had a wonderful time, but it was all to do with work. But I wasn't catching up with sleep. I wasn't catching up with various things that I would normally do. And I think after the 3rd trip, I remember leaving Portugal to come back to England, to London, and I thought I shouldn't get on a plane today. I did, of course, which I shouldn't have done, but I did. And when I got home, I just crashed. Interesting experience. It reminds me how unwell people are when I say, please do this, please do that, and they just can't face it. Well, I did 1 or 2 things myself, and no. And so I got a lot of understanding for many of my clients or students, but it took a long time to get over. There was no point calling a doctor because there's nothing they could do. I had to sweat it out, let it out. Got a bit worried briefly in about the 3rd week. And then by the end of that week, I was able to get up, go out. And, but it took me a long time to get my energy back. So with many people who are unwell now with their virus, we've got to start again, because I thought, I've got so much energy, what's happened? And realized I had to start all over again. And that wasn't easy, because you've got to build up your energy to do certain things. But I'm fine now. It took me a while, because then I thought, oh, can't be bothered to do this, can't be bothered to do that. And always got a smile on my face, but that doesn't, it was hard at times. So, I've got a lot of sympathy with what people are going through with at the moment. Even with one or two well-known people we hear on the news too much. At the moment, I do feel they needed to rest much, much more. I think they're exhausted and still trying to work in their politics. And this is what it's all about. We need to catch up on our health. Our body is the most important part. I mean, without it, what do we do? As mentioned, we have to look after a car. We have to look after our bodies. You can't drive a car without the oil or the petrol. Well, we have to do the same for us. And I'm very glad, though, that I was fortunate enough to go to Hippocrates in Florida, because I could have gone traveling with my chef's hat on and gone to a lot of what I call the plant-based raw foods, cooked foods, which can be very gourmet, very rich. I hope you understand what I mean. We don't always, what we used to call a gourmet meal was you treat yourself to going out for dinner and you had a rich meal, came back, probably regretted it, but enjoyed it. Well, there's a lot of plant-based food that can be too heavy, too rich. And so I'm very glad I actually went where I got understood about what Hippocrates taught me and trained most people to do. A lot of people get home when they've just gone as a patient. And after a week, it's hard to start. So that's why I love to say, let's add 1 step at a time. So any questions? Wow.
Please, everyone, you've got the ability to unmute yourself if you'd like to ask a question.
Oh, I've just seen 2.
Yeah.
1. Can you please give us 2 healthy snacks for energy? Could you tell us which is the best sugar substitute? Ooh, Fiona. Okay. Just see her picture online. Okay. Now, just so you know, with what I do, most of my natural sugars come through my vegetables, especially through my greens, okay? So I'm not craving. saying that, if we're all together and you've got chocolate on the table, of course, or there's a cake or something, of course I'm going to have some. But if you're unbalanced, all sugar is sugar, okay? Whatever it is. The one I like at the moment, if I must, is, can't believe I haven't got the name, but I can send it to you, all of you. It's called Sugar Vida. I think they've got another name now. And it's come from, don't get upset, it comes from the flower of the bee pollen, of the palm trees. Not palm oil, don't touch it. But it's come from the flowers, and they care very much for India. That's one I would use. If one is needing a quick sugar fix and it's intense sugar, then I would say then you need something like a date, which I don't use anymore at all. Because as long as whatever I make with people, as long as it's sweet, it's normally appreciated. I'm trying very hard to come away from all types of sugars, if possible. But the Sugar Vida, which is usually in health food stores, that's sort of something that is used, and they have a lot of nutrients in it. They've got a lot of knowledge. Of course, at the moment, their farms in India are having problems. Oh, I forgot to fill something in. Oh, never mind. And then healthy snacks. Well, gosh, I hadn't got my list here for that. There's a company called Nourish. For example, it depends where you live, of course, but that's just one of the companies that do something. Don't eat too much of these snacks, but that's the sort of thing I would go for. You've got me thinking now. And then I make little snacks like that. I make, for example, a rich no chocolate. There's no chocolate in it at all, but it tastes like chocolate. Now, you know, chocolate, cacao, they say is healthy. Well, it's also got 2 or 3 things that are not healthy. And it's also like having coffee. It gives you a quick fix. And I'm talking about the healthier style of coffee. Healthier style of chocolate. But in saying that, I decided that everyone goes so mad for cacao or chocolate. You know, if you had chocolate, cacao, the real stuff from the bean itself, you wouldn't be eating it. It's not sweet at all. It's very bitter. And, but with all that we've had, whether it was the stuff we had as children, which in the old days, I'd eat 3 Mars bars, and 1 wasn't enough, and then they made them larger, so I had 3 large ones, but now I don't touch them. But then I decided I had to make a rich no chocolate, and I worked with carob powder. In the old days in England, carob wasn't so nice because people didn't know how to work with it. But having worked with it for years, I work with one that used to be called mesquite from Peru. That's what I call my dairy one because it has a different taste. And then the other one, carob, I get from Portugal. And that's what I call the rich no chocolate. And the other one's just the plain chocolate. But it's just getting people to taste things. And then I add, at the moment, coconut oil. And so it's not too rich. You think, gosh, it's not chocolate. Why is it rich? No. I add dried sunflower seeds, broken up, mix it all up. And then I have little, you can either just put it in a, a container, not too thick, and then let it set in the freezer or the fridge. Or I've got little molds, which I found in, I don't know, I can't remember now. But when the stores open, I'm sure you'll find them. But I've got little shell molds or anything that's small. And that helps people because they find they only need to eat 1 or 2. Because the whole point when you have a snack, you don't always need too much. And snacks, to me, if we're balanced, are not necessary. But at the moment, it's taken me years. So I've got much more balanced. and also learning to make our own foods. Any other questions? In the real world, though, that we can get at Sainsbury's. I like your questions. Sainsbury's, I will go and have a look this week. I go once a month or once a week, because they have got some things there. I used to, but I can't remember, to be honest. But I'm happy to go and search. I haven't done much research there, as you can imagine, recently.
So Jill, from my point of view, I've got to lose the half stone that I put on during this.
Oh, I can help you with that.
So what's the best, I don't like to use the word diet, but what's the best way to, apart from regulating your meals, eating less and...
Well, for me, adding to my lifestyle every day was adding these green vegetable juices. And you learn taste. Gosh, I wish I could remember what I even thought aloe vera tastes like years ago. But it's learning, that's how, because what we really need to do, I hate the word detox. I don't like it at all. I think it doesn't mean anything. Yes, it does. I mean, detoxification, we need to cleanse and nourish the body. But I feel, and that's why what I feel most people will give it a detoxification, but they're not nourishing it at the same time. And what we're needing to is get something like the greens into us, and or one has more green soups or something to help, just to help cleanse that liver and break it down. And then that is what I find most people have success with. I did, you know. I was a big girl. I lost about 4, in English terms. I know I lost 30, 40 kilos, but in English terms, it was like 4 stone. Okay? And I did that over 6 months. And I wasn't getting all the right advice at the time. But now, because I've got the right advice, and adding the right things, I'm not craving like I did. Okay, so I'm sure we can work on you, Steve.
Are dark green vegetables, the dark green leaf vegetables, better for you, or?
Well, they've got more balance, but all vegetables are good. But I don't really juice. Okay, Vicky.
Yeah. Sorry.
I was just going to say I wouldn't juice. I don't juice carrots and beetroot, though I do have a recipe with it in, because I think the minerals from carrots and beetroots are excellent. But if it's on their own, that creates more sugar. Eating it is very different. But the greens have more of a balance. But I have some recipes I can send, I'm sure. See what we can do. I'll get one when we're next open, bring you one to taste. That might put you off. Often when I give a workshop, a lot of people have tried their juice, made their own juices, right? Even when they've been to centres that do the green juices. And then, but often they don't really know what they're supposed to taste like. Then when they come to the workshop, very occasionally I find a little glass hidden behind the sofa when I'm cleaning up afterwards. But most people will go, oh, this is okay. I never liked it because I didn't know what it was supposed to taste like.
Yeah.
But because so much sugar goes on, we have sugar, it's trying to change the tastes. We're so used to sugar, 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 right? Or even bread, you see, has sugar in it. You know, all these carbohydrates.
Don't like bread.
Sorry?
I don't like bread, fortunately.
Good. And I've learned not to eat all that. Anyway, Vicky, you had a question.
Oh, yeah. What would you put in your favourite? I mean, what would you put in a salad?
In a salad? Well, for instance, I've done what I used to do. I must do it today because I've got it. Broccoli, cauliflower. I chop them up very small. Okay. Or if it's easier or you're doing a lot, you can break it up in the food processor. That's not the blender, the food processor that goes round. But don't break it up too small. Well, not everyone, people get confused. My blender, I rarely use for most things. They give a lot of recipes for the blender, but I find that extra electricity, and personally, I like the food processor, like the Magimix, that style, okay?
Okay.
And then I add garlic, I'll add onion, celery, whatever I've got around. And that was one of the first ones I did to start with, because often people tell you they don't like broccoli, they don't like cauliflower. Well, no, if I went to someone's house one time and I was staying with some people and they said, well, my daughter doesn't like those. I said, well, I wouldn't when you hand it out like that, big pieces of cauliflower. And that's what I was given. I said, well, no, I don't want that either. I want to make it more exciting. And so we made the salad, chopped it all up, add all these things into it. Then I take some of it and put that in the blender and add a bit of oil and lemon juice. And I also use kelp powder a lot, or seaweeds of some powders of some description. I add that in. I think that's about it. And then I add it. And often people think avocado's in it because of the oil. But you can also add avocado to it. You know, if you did a salad with kale, curly kale. Or
yes.
If you did that. Now, often people mush it with a bit of oil or with their hands. I cut it small, put that into a bowl. I will add avocado to it, and I add anything else I can think of and make it tasty like that. People love it with avocado, and yet they probably told you they didn't like kale. It's playing with it. I often think, I come back sometimes, I use this story a lot. I come back and I think, oh, I don't feel like making a salad. You make me a salad, everyone. I'll have 3 helpings. There's a sort of psychological thing going on up there. Okay, so it's because often when we walk in the door, we want that bite in the food. And what I mean by a bite is, I'm not saying pastry, but the pastry bite or the burger bite, the comfort bite. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so that's what you want. So often I have advised people, make a salad before you get into the house. Make it so that when I get back, I have a salad. No, I haven't got one sitting in the fridge right now, but I've got plenty of greens in there. But if we've got it there, then when we come in, we've got the rest of the meal or whatever else you're going to have with it, even if you've bought something on the way. And then you've got your salad ready with it, right?
Right.
But it's making it tasty. But I usually add I make dressings to add with it. Can't be thinking. And you can add anything to the dressing, any flavors. You can use your turmeric and ginger. You can add all these things.
Yes.
You know, it's flavors. It's getting new flavors. I've never had a problem. I ate and drank everything years ago. So that was never a problem. And when I go to different countries, I love to eat all their food. Whereas a lot of people will go to another country and only want their English food. Won't go into that. But, you know, there is a lot of that, unfortunately. But I've always somehow, you know, I'll eat everything. And the only thing I did as a child, I can visualize it now, didn't put me off though long term. I remember when I was about 4 or 6 and lunch was getting ready and there was some English mustard on the whatever it was on. And I took the lid off, put the spoon in, put it in my mouth and put the spoon back, and I was so shocked. Unfortunately, it didn't teach me a lesson because obviously at the time I was horrified and didn't dare tell anyone, but I can remember, probably 6. But I do love mustard, but you know, you just, but it's just the little things that a lot of us have done in the past. So anyway, as I say, it's making things tastier. And even right now, you know, I wish I could give you a class today. I'd love to have you all around, but unfortunately that's against the law at the moment. Just learn to add these things. Was this, oh, what should I look for if buying margarine? Aha! What should be avoided? Having been to MS Plant Food Unflour Spread, which has palm and the seeds oil in it. Okay, haven't been to M&S for a while, though I believe they've opened in Clapham. That was being discussed at Chamber of Commerce last week.
Probably say I shouldn't be buying margarine at all.
No, exactly. So Beverly, we look for, no, there are other ones. We look for, because Marge, I won't go into that, but Marge as we know it, I'm not telling you to have butter either, but butter is healthier than Marge.
I know.
You don't know what the colour was like before you got the Marge, but let's ruin the day. There are things, for example, okay, let's say Planet Organic at the moment. We're not all near Planet Organic or Whole Foods, but I'm just saying, because I know that they have what I call replacements for butter or Marge, and I do buy them occasionally. You've got the vegan health food store. What's it called? Oh, I should have had a list. I can always say, if you don't mind, if I use your emails, I can send you a list sometime. Okay. There's one in Fulham, Northcote Road. There's a vegan supermarket. Don't worry about the vegan bit, but it has some lovely cheeses and margarines, butters, things like that. But also in the Planet, because that's near me, they also have them too. So I'll look for the replacement. But they are out there. Mind you, food combining, go back to the food combining, they always say have the bread. What's it? Someone said to me many years ago, she's in her 80s now, she teaches yoga. She said, have the bread, have the butter, put them together, out go the hips, right? I've never forgotten that. And it's true, it's trying not to mix certain things together. Yes, I like the comfort taste of the butter. You don't forget these things. I might use avocado a bit more, if we can get them. But but no, try and look for, as I say, I haven't looked at M&S or Sainsbury's or any of those for a while. I do walk past one fridge to look for something I buy. Yeah, the other thing is we don't do too much soy. Soy is very difficult on the digestion, but I know they're pushing it a lot at the moment. I like it occasionally, but if you have it, try not to eat it in the evening because it can affect one's sleep. But it's been processed so much by the time you get it. And to try and soak and sprout your own soybeans, don't bother. There's many other things we can do. Because I do a lot of, wasn't going to add all this, but I with a lot of the beans, you know, mung beans, aduki beans, they're not so good at the moment, but mung beans, all beans, fenugreek as well and everything. I soak those overnight and then I germinate them, I sprout them. And they're much easier on the digestion. Beans in general need soaking for sure overnight before cooking, but once they've been germinated, they're easier to digest. I mean, I make a hummus with sprouted chickpeas, garbanzos, and it'll taste cooked when I make it anyway. It's all these new things, and I wasn't going to hit on all this, but you know, it's adding more things. Beverly, try drizzling with extra virgin olive oil. Exactly. If you want something with that taste, Beverly, add a bit of oil or flavour some. Or you can put it, make if you want to flavor it with a bit of, I don't use much salt, but if you're flavoring it, and then you can put it into the fridge and it will set. Then you take some out and put it on onto your, there's all these things. It's just, we just don't think of these things. I didn't, and I made everything up in the catering business. Then when I got into this, I thought, I can't make things up because I'm working with health. Well, as long as I get the balance right, I'm fine. And I've even had avocado. I've used that. So that was a good idea from E. Roland. It's adding all these different things. It is, we do get addicted to things, and it's learning new tastes. So, any questions?
So are you saying if you put the oil in the fridge, it will set?
It depends which extra virgin oil, but it can do. Some of them do.
And there's a good butter substitute.
Or if not, put it in the freezer. I mean, you are best, sorry to say that, but you are best to look for a better, don't look for cheap oils. If it's more expensive, then we're best not to fry, by the way. I fry with water if I'm cooking, and then I add the oil at the end, switch off and add it at the end. But if you buy better oils, you don't need to use as much. Also, it's best if you can to buy organic or support what I call the farmers markets. I'm not talking about necessarily the street markets, which have, I think, reopened, but this farmers markets, because their stuff, most of it should be organic without the certificate. And if we go to the supermarkets, we have to look for the organic. But I support the one down the road in Wandsworth, towards Wimbledon, Wimbledon Farmers Market, which is not quite in Wimbledon, it's halfway from Wandsworth. And I get my stuff there. I like to support these things. They have a long way to come and a lot of work to pick it all. And hopefully we're not going to get the heavy weather North Portugal have just had, where their farms have been very badly damaged. Hailstones on Sunday, poor things. So it's sometimes spending a bit more, subject to what our budget is, but spending a bit more, you use less. And also I'm eating less now. So
just going back to those salads for me, you talked about broccoli and cauliflower, and I presume these are raw that you chop up and put into the salad.
Oh yes, you can do them cooked, but if you're going to cook, steam. But once you get it done that you are enjoying the taste, but don't make it too fine.
Yeah.
But don't make them too large either, because the two I mentioned can be very hard to eat, and it puts people off. But once you've got the dressing in there, or even if you have a guacamole sitting there, just add some guacamole to it. Yes, I buy that sometimes, but I make my own too. It's just once you have it from someone else, I suppose it's like, oh, that tastes all right, because we never really know what things are supposed to taste like.
Yeah. Okay, we're coming up to the end of the hour. Does anyone have any questions for Jill before we close? I'd just like to say that my wife brought me home a beetroot hummus from Sainsbury's, and I am absolutely hooked on it. It looks red, it looks different, but the taste is out of this world.
Yes.
So if anyone likes hummus, go to Sainsbury's and buy some of this beetroot hummus. It's lovely.
They've got lovely different flavours now. When I was studying at C&M nutrition years ago, every lunch, even I was off to I went off all of them. They did loads of hummuses, and we all bought hummus for lunch every time. I'm back on them now. I love them. They're delicious. And the one you've just mentioned, Fanta Beetroot, is fabulous. They've got imagination now.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a lot of imagination. And I was just going to say one other thing. Oh, it's gone out of my mind. Never mind. So, just if I can say, I really appreciate everyone joining, and hopefully if you've got any questions, please contact me. I will answer your emails, and if it doesn't get answered, chase me up. But I'm always in, or you can call me. But also I'm doing another one tomorrow evening. It's on my Facebook page, and it's actually London Vegans, but and it's on my website. It's to do with superfoods. Some of it will be the same. It's getting people to add their veg, but you know, I will be doing it at 6:30 tomorrow evening.
Right. Lovely. Jill, would you be able to make a note of some of the things that you've talked about, and perhaps some recipes, especially how to make the rich chocolate, and I'll circulate that to all the attendees.
Okay.
Yeah, fantastic. So,
By the way, the rich chocolate I talked about, normally you have to come to a workshop, but
yeah,
I don't add any sugar to that at all.
right.
Carob is naturally sweet. If you ever see a carob bean that actually all year looks like a green bean, then becomes dark, please do not, when you see them, use them straight in your food processor. It will break the machine, because inside it's got stones that are used for clothing and paints and things like that. I'm just warning you, because someone will go on holiday, or B, you might be in Spain or Portugal right now, and you'll think, oh great, I've got some, they're just becoming ripe now. Well, no, we've got another 2 months, but please don't do that. I do buy it ready done. They use a special machine to split them, and which don't buy because it's very expensive. It's commercial, but just I'm warning you. These useless or useful bits of information. Okay, choc, salads. I'll do my best. Whatever.
When do you think you'll
Yeah,
be starting your workshops again?
I don't know.
Right.
Until we can have people in the house. You know, they've talked about 6, but not inside. So I'll definitely start them, but I just don't know when. You know, you just got to go with the flow.
Okay.
But I'm always there to talk.
Lovely. Are we good to close?
Yep, that's fine. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you
Thank you,
very
everyone.
much to everyone for attending. Thank you so much, Jill, for sharing. And if you've got any questions, just let us know. But thank you. Yeah, I'll end the meeting now. Thank you very much.
Well, lovely to meet you all virtually.
Yeah.
Thank you.
See you again. Thank you.
Okay,
Lovely.
thank you, Jill. Thank you, Steve.
Bye all.
Bye.
Jill, if you'd like to stay on, then we can just have a little chat to wrap up as
Okay.
everyone leaves.
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah.
Can you switch those 2 off?
Lovely.
There we are.
There we are. Well done. Oh, internet connection's unstable, but it seemed to go all right.
Yes. Oops. Switch. So I want to take the